Hello, all. Welcome to another episode of the Master and Apprentice Show. As usual, I'm Gary, and as always, I'm joined by one of the finest young men you will ever meet, a new hope.
Stop.
See what I did there for our species,
Yes.
my great nephew, Jacob Lebeck. How you doing, Jacob?
Oh, I'm doing absolutely splendid. There's no better day than a day when we host this podcast. So
Oh, I'm so
always,
happy.
always, always good.
These
Always
are
good.
always
But
fun. Yeah, we don't get to do them all the time, but
yes,
at least it's something to look forward to every time, isn't it?
yes.
And I hope
And
it's
just like last time, we have new backgrounds.
let's uh,
So
let's let's show everyone our
kick it.
backgrounds. Let's show everyone our Andor
Get out of the way.
season two backgrounds because that is what we're going to be talking about today, folks. We are going to be discussing season two of Andor as I get myself repositioned here. I'm not as
Absolutely.
young as
Yeah, it's got every possible character imaginable.
mine is not.
Not kind of.
Everybody's on there. We got ships, we got TIE fighters, we got X-wings, and the whole 9 yards. Yeah, we are going to be
Exactly.
discussing season two of Andor coming in just a little over a week. The first three episodes drop April 22nd. We're
Yep.
doing something different today too. I took some screenshots from the trailers and from the special look that Star Wars has released. I'm hoping we're not going to get into copyright problem with that. I don't think so. Other shows do them. So hopefully we're going to be okay with that. Do you have any opening thoughts before we get into those?
I mean, in general, I'm really excited. This is probably one of my most favorite Star Wars shows that was released, what, like 3 years ago now, I think is how long ago it's been, I think,
It came
or
out
something like
it
that.
came out in the fall of 2022. I think it started September
Yeah, so
1st or
just
something like that.
just just about, 2.5 or something like that years. But my biggest thing that I like about Star Wars, and Gary knows this, is I absolutely love all the political intrigue that goes into the Star Wars content. And Andor nailed it nailed it. Every part of it I thought was just stellar. And I recently just finished a rewatch of it because I wanted to, you know, pick it all up again. And
Up to speed.
going through the second or third time, it's just like, man, it never gets old. I love it.
Well,
So
yeah,
I'm really
yeah. You almost have to watch it. This show is so rich and so deep. You almost have to watch it, a few times to get all the nuances and stuff. So yeah, I need to
absolutely.
do that. I'm gonna be doing after season two is done. I'm gonna do a massive rewatch of everything. One of those that I do every couple or 3 years or so. So yeah,
Yes,
that should
yes.
be pretty good. So yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think
and
I'm
it's
gonna
it's been
echo.
said.
Say that
It's
again.
it's been said too that like you can. It's probably going to be best to watch Rogue One directly after the season two as well. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to set aside a couple hours when we hit the finale or something like that to fit Rogue One in as well because I want the full experience. If that's what's being suggested, I want to do it. So
Yeah, Tony
we'll do
Gilroy
it.
said you're going to see Rogue One in a different way after this is all over with. So fingers crossed that's how it's going to work out. So anyway, all right. So
Yeah, absolutely.
we've got a number of screenshots from the trailers and so forth that we want to talk about today. I had this grand plan that I was going to do these in some kind of organized order, but I don't think it's going to work out that way. And after looking at them, I kind of um, don't think I want it to work out that way. I think I want to mix them up a little bit, and you'll see why in a second here. So let's see if we can get this. We've tested this a few times. Okay, yeah. Are you seeing it on your end, Jake?
Boom. Oh yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, this guy. I mean, what can you say about Saw Gerrera, right? I mean, he has a rich history in Star Wars going all the way back to the Clone Wars, and
Exactly. I still have such an interesting like opinion on it because I mean just like seeing him in the Clone Wars as I mean essentially a rebel from the get-go. I mean,
right,
but for this case it was the separatists, right?
yeah,
But he started off really early as a young spry guy and then goes all the way up to Rogue One after being a radical essentially and becomes, he's clearly very injured and I think we're going to see exactly how he gets so injured in this season of it. Because I mean, we see the oxygen mask already strapped in this picture.
right.
Um, and by the time we get to Rogue One, what is it? He's like missing a leg, I think, and a couple of other things. Like he's not fully um healthy anymore. Um,
He's been
so
patched together quite a bit.
exactly.
Yeah,
Kind of like a Darth Vader, but like for the Rebel Alliance
yeah,
and all that. But
yeah.
but yeah, no, I mean, I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with his character. And in the last season, we didn't see too much of him other than just a couple um, clips with him and Luthen.
Yes.
But even just from that, they mentioned what was the name of that rebel leader that they set up or that
Oh,
the
yeah, Anto Krieger.
yeah, that's right, Anto Krieger. But it was Luthen and Saw Gerrera talking a lot about Anto Krieger
Yes.
and the possibility of him joining that raid on like an Imperial substation. I think it
Right.
was what it was, and essentially them coming to the conclusion that once the ISB figured it out, that it would be okay to just let them fall into the trap. So the sacrifice that the rebellion is to reach its goal, they're willing to sacrifice 30 men and Anto Krieger and a bunch of stuff like that.
Exactly.
It just shows what Saw's willing to sacrifice in getting what he wants. And he's always been a radical. And it's very, very much probably against Mon Mothma's opinions on everything that the rebellion stands for. So, two different sectors on opinions for what the rebellion should do and how they should do it, but inevitably the same end goal. It's definitely interesting.
Right, exactly. And you talked about, how he's kind of being, injured in many different ways here with scars and he's got the oxygen mask here that we see him with in Rogue One and the prosthetic leg possibly too. I mean, he's wounded emotionally too. I mean, that goes all the way back to the death of his sister, Steela, during the Clone Wars.
Yes, yes. That
So,
was the first kickoff for, I mean, that hurt Ahsoka too when she was trying to save her, and
yes,
it just didn't work out. That death hit a lot of people in quite a few ways, but I mean, it sparked Saw's radicalism early, and we saw him in the Bad Batch too, and we saw his radical opinions and early happenings
that's
right
right.
there as well, and
Yeah.
it doesn't take long for him to fall into that position rather quickly. Um, and I'm really eager to see what he's going to do in this season that causes him to become so injured where he is right now, as
Exactly.
well as how he inevitably ends up on Jeddah, because
Well,
that's
speaking of
where
which, I'm glad you mentioned that because speaking of which, this is where I'm going to go out of order now, and if I can find the correct, um, here we go. So you look at that shot that I just shared, you wonder, okay, where's Saw? Well,
oh, I
this
don't know if I see
this
that one
seems
that you pulled up.
this seems to be the opposite one.
There we go.
You got it now?
Yes, it's like the direct 180 camera angle of the one we just saw.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
the reason I've decided I'm going to do these out of order is I've noticed a lot of this in looking at the trailers and so forth. There, it looks like they've shot a lot of these episodes, with you're seeing character from the front, and then you're seeing, the complete 180 shot of them. And obviously that's Jeddah. There's the Star
Yes.
Destroyer. We'll zoom in a bit, but there's the Star Destroyer
Oh
over,
yeah.
over the city. And he's looking out over the city there, and yeah. Yep. So this has got to be the last episode or one of the last episodes of the season for sure.
Oh, I think so too. Because I mean, he wasn't on Jeddah at all in the first season. I can't remember what planet he was
I
on,
can't
but I
remember
mean,
the
it
name
was another
either.
rundown. It was another rundown ruin essentially, where him and his for lack of a better word, colleagues. I wouldn't call them colleagues,
Oh,
but
they
a
call them
radical
they call
rebellion.
them they call them his partisans.
Yeah, it's partisans, but
Yeah. Yeah. Two tubes.
they're all there in another ruin. So I'm really curious to see what happens if they get made or if they have to move anyway, just because of
That's what I'm thinking.
keeping the positioning fluid.
They get found
But how
out.
they end up on Jeddah, I mean, we don't know that. So that's something I'm sure this season's going to explore. And like I said, with everything in his injuries, I think something's going to happen catastrophic to his band, uh, his partisans himself, um, where he has to move, and it's going to involve some serious willpower on his end, as
Yeah,
if he
I think
doesn't
so.
already have it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really eager to see what's going to happen to him and how he fits in with Luthen as well, because him and Luthen clearly hold a pretty strong bond. I mean, well, I say that, but I think it's definitely a tiptoe type situation,
It's a
especially
it's a
with Luthen.
strong bond of, I don't want to say hatred, but it's a strong bond of animosity, maybe, I guess. There's a little animosity there
Yeah,
between the
they
two.
want the same thing, kind of, right? Luthen is playing a very big picture game, and I think Saw is too. It's just the steps that they get to that end goal are very different, I think, a lot of the time. Which is
Yeah,
why Luthen was trying to convince Saw eventually to join Anto Kruger before they found that he was made with the ISB.
right,
Um, so I think there's a lot to be said for their bond, but I'm really curious to see, especially now with Cassian being in Luthen's ranks officially and them not trying to kill each other anymore. I'm really curious to see how Saw fits into this picture.
right.
Um, so yeah, yeah,
Yeah, all right. So also from the first trailer, I think there's a little bit of a delay when I hit share and when they pop up when you get to see it too.
possibly. Yeah, there we go. Comes up
But
now.
yeah, there is.
Very
I can
nice.
tell because you said there we go. Like it's about a 3 to 5 second delay. So this is
Okay,
obviously Mon
interesting.
Mothma.
First time we're doing it, but
Yeah, yeah.
yes,
This is
Mon
obviously Mon
Mothma
Mothma.
possibly. Yes, she's possibly one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character from season one, just with all
She
the
may,
intrigue and all that.
she may possibly quite literally nearly 100% be my favorite character in this show. Uh,
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get you. I get you. She, I mean, it's funny because whenever she was talking with Luthen in the first season, she was always trying to get some sort of information or at least talk with him about the state of where she's at. And the biggest issue with her financially, or sorry, in season one was the finances that she was trying to hide, and essentially like
yes.
400,000 credits worth of mislabeled transactions.
Well, her
Um,
account, her own accounts have been frozen too. She can't even access her the money she does have.
exact Exactly. So she's already on the spotlight, and that's the biggest thing with her. She's trying to maneuver funds to help out this, kind of somewhat scattered rebellion at this point, but um, doing so in a very obvious spotlight. Right? She's quite clearly a face of the Imperial Senate, right? So trying to do so secretly is a huge problem. Um, and she talks about that with her driver in the first season where she's like, I don't know, this is a new guy, I don't know if I can trust him. He's quite clearly, he's probably
Yeah,
a spy. And he was a spy. He was talking directly to Dedra Miro during the entirety of that season about
she was.
her correspondence. Um and near the end of that season she was talking with her husband, um blanking on his name right now for some reason, but
Yep, I can't remember his name either, but
yeah, she was having a conversation with him about gambling, and
yeah,
the driver was quite clearly listening. She was like, "Oh, don't listen to this," and then he's like, "Okay, well, I'm going to do it anyway."
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I'm sure that whole conversation was a front because I'm sure she knows that he was listening, um, and kind of a way to explain maybe some of the funds that are missing, as a sense of like, oh, he used it to gamble or something like that. So she's always playing the long game, trying to sow little seeds in here and make some of the happenings that don't make any sense have a reason, kind of like a long-term alibi. But her ability to sew all those seeds together and stay somewhat in the clear is, I think, what made her so interesting in season one.
yeah.
And coming into season two, she's now, once again, another name I can't remember, is the banker, this sketchy banker, shady banker.
Oh,
That
Skulden or something like that.
Yeah, that's something like that. I
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's right. But but she's marrying off her daughter presumably to the son of this banker, to Scully.
Well,
Which, you know, for the sake of keeping the funds moving and not like, under imperial scrutiny, this is the best way for her to do it. But it's sacrificing a large part of her ability to like raise her daughter and keep the family intact, and keeping her personality intact too. I mean, I'm sure that's a huge moral hit to her to have to do such a lowly thing, um, to help fight for the cause. Um,
yeah.
but I'm really curious to see how that lands her in the first couple episodes of this next season.
Yeah, yeah. The first couple episodes are going to be interesting for all these characters. So you mentioned her making this deal with this Skulden guy or whatever his name is, to
I
give
think that
her.
sounds right. I can't
Yeah, it
remember it,
sounds,
but
it's close. It's close. There's so many characters in the show, I can't keep the names straight.
and
But
they're all new, just about
yeah, yeah. So
most of them.
you were saying, you were talking about her, marrying her daughter off, So she looks like she's at some kind of celebration here. I mean, this lady here, she's cutting a rug. I mean,
Yes,
she's getting
yes.
down on the floor there. So, where is Mon Mothma here? Uh,
Hmm.
well, and everyone's going to have to. Well, I think she's here. This, I think, is the wedding. I mean,
Yeah, I think she's
This
here
is
too.
Mon right here.
Uh-huh.
She's in the same. Maybe she's taken the veil off, but this is the same.
Yes.
Her goofy husband here, and
Hmm.
back too. But this is her daughter,
Ah,
obviously.
Perrin. That's the name
Perrin, that's
of
it.
the husband.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's right. Yeah, that's the husband's name. That's right. And her daughter Lita, I didn't remember her name. She's back too here. This is the I don't remember the name of the kid she's marrying, and they are
Hmm.
kids. I mean, it's this ridiculous.
Yes.
It's this
14 is what they were saying,
Yeah, it's like
I
it's
believe.
yeah. You'd think they were living in Kentucky or something. They're marrying all 14-year-old girls.
Yes.
I can't believe I said that. But anyway,
Despite this being in the future, it feels like it's a huge backpedal from a societal perspective. This is weird
well, actually, it's
for
not in the
us. It's not.
future. Actually, it's not in the future. Remember, Star Wars is a long time ago.
Oh, you're right. Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Despite the futurism,
But
it's
yeah, it's
it's
supposed to be
ridiculous.
so it is supposed to be some sort of advanced society. And here we
Yes,
are,
yes,
I mean, this sounds like it's strictly a Chandrillan tradition, but there
yes.
are
And
many,
I was
yeah,
gonna comment on that too, because like this is inherently a very cultural thing.
yeah,
Like what they're doing. I mean, they're all Cinderland, right? So
yeah,
this marriage practice, I think, it's just a cultural happening. But because it lines with Mon Mothma's goals in a weird way, financially only, uh, it's going to work out this way. So, but
yeah,
we'll see how this helps her cover up her steps.
right.
I'm very curious to see
And
that, but
Mon is
I'm also
against
curious to see what other traditions they have
And Mon is
going on
against
here.
this too. Mon is
On
not for
board,
this at
yes,
all, but she ends up doing it because the fight for the rebellion, is what she's trying to accomplish here. So she is reluctantly going through this junky tradition,
yes,
marrying her
yes.
daughter or young daughter off. I mean, he's young too, but anyway.
Hmm.
So yeah, so obviously
Yeah,
she's at that prior one we looked at. She's at the wedding ceremony.
yes.
Okay, now
And we were just kind of tying this to something else, but we were just talking about the speech this morning from Luthen in the first season about what he sacrifices.
yes.
And you look at all these big, heavy hitter characters from the rebellion, each and every one of them sacrifices at least something.
Yeah,
To the extent of which, it depends what their role is. But Mon Mothma is easily one of the characters that has sacrificed the most. I mean, even doing this is just her dignity, her ability to you know I think hold herself high up morally. She has to sacrifice that to a
right.
greater good. And Luthen has not the exact same issue when it comes to sacrificing, but he has a lot of other things that he sacrifices. And
That's right.
it's interesting to see what every character in this show is able to put forward, um, for what he says, a sunlight I might never see, or something like that.
Yeah, he says,
So
I burn for a sunrise I'm never going to see."
exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yep.
exactly. The other line in that speech of his that's really great is something about uh, I I share my secrets with ghosts or something to that
Yes.
effect. Yeah,
Yes.
that's a great
All the friends he's lost along the way.
that whole sequence
Shivers.
is that's some of the best writing in all of Star Wars going on right there. So
Oh yes,
yeah.
easily,
All
easily.
right. So the next one I got, and we kind of discussed this one when we were doing our little test. We were testing these a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
This
Here we
guy,
are.
this guy.
Krennic.
I don't have a face shot of him, but we know this is Orson Krennic, played by the
Oh
great Ben
yes.
Mendelsohn. And here he is. He's looking over his little project. And this is a guy I'm interested to
Big one.
see how they develop him and where he ends up. We know where he ends up in Rogue One, but go ahead and give some
Yes,
thoughts
yes, we
on this
do.
one.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how he's going to get introduced. Like, because I
Mm,
don't think he's just going to mosey in. I feel like there's going to be something that happens that causes him to become more involved.
yeah.
And it might even just be the aftermath of what we saw from um the end of the first season, just to
Yes.
kind of, I mean, like there is a time jump in between that and the start of season two, so obviously I think there will be, um a little headwind there, but it's very possible that Krennic starts stepping in when he starts seeing, these more organized efforts, the beginning of a larger rebellious force, just not just happenings here and there. And that's stuff that Dedra pointed out too, and she was trying to link all of these imperial, artifacts and or technology getting stolen in different districts, but it's all connected. So I'm curious if Krennic steps in because he's like, this is above even you. I have to help out with this. And then obviously too, when we saw um, Cassian in the first season on Narkina 5 building all of the Death Star laser like components. I don't know what they call those, but
Yeah.
the huge manufacture of all of that. I'm very curious if he steps in because Narkina 5 no longer has any prisoners to make
You stole
this
my
kind of
tank.
stuff.
That was the next thing I was going to say.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, that was exactly. You and I are on the same wavelength today, man, because that is exactly where I was going next. You
Go
know,
right ahead.
yeah, so there are delays going on because those prisoners all escaped from Narkina 5, and we know from the little post-credit scene that was at the end of episode 12 of season 1 that those components were part of the super laser. And I mean, we look
Yes.
at what he's looking at here. He's on the deck of a Death Star I'm sorry, of a Star Destroyer, and he's looking at the Death Star here, and there's no super laser there. There doesn't look like there's
No.
any components of a super laser ready to go. So there's delays, I'm sure
Mhm.
because of what happened on Narkina 5. So
Yes, exactly. I
yeah,
mean, I'm still kind of curious to see where some of the people from Narkina 5 are, because I don't think every single one of them perished as a result of getting out of the prison. All we saw was him and was Melchi, right? Um,
Ian Melchior are the
from
ones we saw.
yeah, so like I don't know. I'm very curious to see if any of those characters will make a return.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
so yeah, we'll have to see.
Andy Serkis, his character Loy, he was the one that claimed he couldn't swim when they were getting out of there. But he's
Yes.
listed in the credit. He's listed in the credits of season 2. Now maybe they're going to do flashback too. I don't know, but
Possibly, I'd be a lot more interested to see him being a role in the present. I think he could
I
easily
think
do
he
it,
got out of there somehow. I
and
think somebody helped him.
especially because he was such a hard one to convince in the first place. Because he was like, "I only got 200 days left on my sentence, right? Why would I make such a fuss about trying to get out of here?"
Right.
But all of the build up essentially in this prison to being like, oh, well, none of us are getting out. They fried an entire floor when they found
Yeah.
out that they're not leaving, just to keep it hidden.
Right.
Kino Loy, like he's I don't think he was a fighter originally, but him seeing all these things, he's gonna be a rebel, I think, after all this. He knows what the real power of the Empire is, and obviously they put him in essentially a sense of slavery. I mean, like I'd be looking to fight back too if that was me in that position. So I think he'd be a very strong rebel to be a part of the task force for anything, Cassian or Luthen or anything like that. So I'd like to see him back in the present. But
Yeah, I would too. I think we're going to. I mean, like I said, He's listed in as the part of the cast. When I was putting these together a couple weeks ago, these screenshots, I had an Orson Krennic take that entered my mind.
mm,
He represents the guy, and we see this in real life. And I won't go into a political discussion, but he represents the person or the group of people who remain loyal. In this case, he remains loyal right to the end to the Empire. And the Empire is the one that is screwing him over all the
yes,
time. Six
and
ways to
kills him.
Sunday. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, and he maintains right to the end, right to his death on Scarif, his hatred for the rebellion, and the rebellion has done nothing, at least personally, to Krennic. In fact, if they were to get a hold of him, they would probably try to help him out and say, "Hey, Orson, look, you don't have to live this life. You can go do whatever you're an intelligent person. You can go do whatever you want. You don't have to remain loyal to the
possibly. Yeah.
Empire." Yeah, and like I said, we see that in real life. We see people who remain loyal to the people who are actually screwing them over.
hmm
And it's mind-boggling, but here's an
Yeah.
example of it in fiction.
His own weapon took him out, and it wasn't his order to fire it necessarily,
Yeah,
right? So he, yeah, he was KIA, killed in action, by the
AIA.
thing that he made, and an order from someone else to do it. So here we are. It's crazy, but
Yep, yep,
I get you.
yep.
But,
So, all right. So we're going to see some good Orson Krennic stuff, I think, in this as well.
oh yeah,
All right. Where do I need to go next? See, I'm losing track now because I'm all over the place here now. Oh, here we go. We talked about this one too when we were doing our little test run a couple weeks ago. Are they in a hurry? Is that why their helmets are off? Is there
I have
something?
no idea. I'm
We don't
still
know
trying to
where
make
they
heads or
are
tails
either.
of this whole screenshot because it's, Imperial stormtroopers, right, with the armor and whatnot, but they don't have their helmets on. So it's like, I don't know if this is just a different kind of task force or
Could
or
be.
what. But I'm also trying to make heads or tails of where they even are because I don't know exactly where this is. It's a
We've
very
never seen
blank.
that
Oh,
set design before, I don't think.
no.
Um,
And the other thing too is like looking at the goggles on the guy to the left.
this dude here, yeah.
Yeah, those goggles look almost reminiscent of the goggles that like Rey wore in like Force Awakens or something. You know what I mean? Like
Or
the
the
ones when
tech
she was,
or Tech War in Bad Batch.
yes, yeah, something like that, right?
That's
So
not
it's
that's
like,
obviously not Tech. He's dead, but
yeah, yeah. But it does make me wonder, um, because yeah, I mean we have seen stormtroopers already in this show, season one, where they were all wearing helmets. So I don't know,
right.
um, what makes this group here so special. But if it is an elite task force, they might be serving somebody like Krennic or something.
Yeah,
They might be more elite. But
yeah.
why wouldn't we see Death Troopers then? Like with the full black armor and all that. So
Oh,
I have no idea where these guys fit into anything here. I am very, very interested to see where
what
it's
this
going to
is all
land.
about.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then it looks like they got a commander here with him. I don't know what he's holding there. He's
weird gadget.
he's got some kind of weird Y-shaped, it looks like Y-shaped gadget. It doesn't look like there's a screen on it, so he's not tracking something.
No,
This is going to be
unless it's like
interesting too.
a detector of some
I mean,
sort. But
it looks like just a innocuous, random scene from one of these episodes that's upcoming, but it's going to be interesting, who or what they're going after here. So, but that's kind of
yes, no,
why
I am very interested to see.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
But
All right, we're going to move along here. We're not going to spend a lot of time on a lot of these or on some of these anyway. Um, so what else?
I do think that scene is probably from an earlier episode, though. I
I think
imagine
you're
most of the
probably
trailer
right.
shots are from earlier episodes, as it is
That's
anyway.
right. That's right. So this is from the special look. This has got to be the Gorman massacre right before it happened.
Yes, yes, that's been talked about everywhere a lot. I'm
Mentioned
very
in
interested.
Rebels. Mentioned in
Yes,
Rebels.
exactly. Yeah, I think there's a lot of avenues that this can take, and Cassian quite clearly looks like he plays a very big hand in all of
Yeah.
this.
Mentioned
That
in
line from
mentioned in
Luthen.
season. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Mentioned
Here, no, that's
Gorman
fine.
mentioned in season one too because they cut off their shipping lanes. I think.
Yes, I believe that's correct. I
Yeah.
can't remember exactly, but I think that's right. Um,
Anyway, I'm
but
sorry.
Luthen in the trailer was talking about I think he was talking with Cassian and he was mentioning that like what's going to happen here, it's going to cause a lot of things to burn essentially.
Yeah.
So I think that was him referring to what's going to happen here because I mean we've seen trailers of Cassian wearing a Gorman-esque like civilian looking attire, but also him in various shots putting together like a rifle and a bunch of other stuff like he's an operative on the scene ready to be the spark that lights everything ablaze. So I think Cassian and Luthen have a very, very big impact, or have a very big role in what's going to happen here. And then going back to Mon Mothma, it's going to cascade into some of the stuff that ends up um, developing her character later in the season as well. And I don't know if you have a screenshot about that one or not, where she's
Well, I want to show
kind of
you
like
this one next
trembling.
because we were discussing this earlier. Make sure I got the right one here. Yeah, this is it. I'm not wearing my glasses. I told Jacob before we started recording, my glasses reflect my monitor, and I look like those weird kids in the Total Eclipse of the Heart video. So this is from the this is from the opposite end. This is from the other, the opposite 180 end of this is the same thing.
Mhm.
That other
Yes.
camera, so to speak, would be back here somewhere, you know.
Hmm.
But yeah, this is the opposite end. This is from the viewpoint of the protesters.
Yes, and quite a clear imperial presence as well with I mean, yeah, if the protests are about that shipping lanes thing, that would make plenty of sense. If it's halting all of their commerce essentially, I wouldn't be shocked that riots of this scale would pop up. And I think Luthen and Cassian are going to take advantage of those riots, just
You're
like
right.
how they have with, Aldani. That was not necessarily taking advantage of shipping lanes or people, but more so just like a very good event in terms of everything going on with planet's atmosphere and money and all the good stuff. But Luthen's a very good character in the sense that he knows when to jump when an opportunity comes up, and he knows what sparks to throw on piles of gasoline, such as this one. This is a very big barrel of ignitable fluid. He's ready to rock and roll.
Yeah,
So
you
I'm
mentioned.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, we gave a few early thoughts on Andor season two on our last episode, and you said Luthen is much more calculating than like Saw is. Saw just jumps in; he doesn't give a crap, who he hurts or who he
Mhm.
kills. Luthen is more calculating,
Yes.
so yeah, he knows
Yes.
exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was the opposite end of that. Now you were saying you were talking about Mon Mothma's speech, in response to this, I believe. So I think, and here comes the next screenshot.
Yes. This is
Yeah,
one of the
I think
ones.
this is her
Yes.
getting ready to give that speech.
I think so too. So yeah, I think the Gorman massacre and whatever happens here, like I said, the only thing I've heard about this is some people. I think there's a couple comics about this. I'm not super well read when it comes to things like that.
Right.
But I'm not sure how the show's perspective is gonna develop this event into something that's quite clearly canon on the screen. So we'll see how it shapes out. But I think Mon Mothma, this big speech of hers, the speech that we see in Rebels too is going to be in response to something like this. There's going to be
Oh,
some
it is. Yeah.
imperial travesty or tragedy that takes place that pushes her over the edge entirely. Despite all of the prep work, I think that's going to happen in the earlier episodes of this show. As a result of marrying off her daughter and trying to hide all of her financial dealings. I think this event's going to push her over the edge. I think she's gonna. I mean, she's not going to be able to hide anymore, and she's not going to want to. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then we see
She's
in
just
in in
totally.
Rebels
Yeah. She's
her
just
getting
totally gonna.
rescued.
Yep. Yep. She's just totally gonna speak out, and then she ends up getting collected up, and I think the rebels characters. That's where I'm wondering, are we going to see some of them guys? Because
Yeah,
we
and we
know
have seen them.
he ends
They
up on the
they
Ghost. So
yeah they could have stole a couple of those characters while they were filming stuff for Ahsoka or something and just ran
right.
with it.
Yeah, they could
Said,
have
hey, we
told.
need you for a scene in
Yeah.
Andor season two. I know it's a little far out, but you're already in your garbs here, so you might as well, right? So I'm curious to see if
Mary Elizabeth Winstead, I know that makeup and I know that get up as hair is uncomfortable. And I know you had
oh, I'm
a long
confident.
day of filming Ahsoka, but would you mind coming over to Studio 4? Because we got this other show that we're doing, and we've got this part
Yes.
written for this character. And
Mm-hmm.
if she does show up in
Absolutely.
the show, I guarantee you that's when she filmed it. She filmed it while she was doing it.
Oh, I think so too.
Yeah.
I think for the
Yeah.
sake of the timing, it made the most sense to do it then,
Yeah.
anyways. But it's also possible they brought her on anyway and said, "Hey, we're gonna do up all that makeup again anyway because we need
I
this." But
I would hope they wouldn't have her take it off at the end of the day and say, "Oh wait, we need her."
oh, I forgot. No,
Dang
that
it,
would
I
be really
forgot. We
annoying.
actually need her. We
Yeah,
need her today. We need to get this scene filmed today.
exactly.
Who's
But
I don't know who is up here. We can't see who's up here on the big dais. It's not Palpatine. It's not the
no, no. But I'm still hoping we see him. Um. I think I can think of a couple areas where he'd be really great. One would be, you know, in some way addressing the Senate. I mean,
yeah,
like I said, I can't tell who's up there right now, but
yeah.
um,
Could be
I
Mass
mean,
Amanda.
something. But I'd love to see him in that kind of a role. I mean, where
Me
he's not
too.
like, shooting lightning from his fingertips, but being the political mastermind that he is, right? Obviously,
Right.
that's where he is right now, and that's how he got there, is, being a genius when it came to setting it all up. But
Yep.
I'd love to see him in a political setting, um, but with the Empire, not the Chancellor of the Republic, because I don't think we've really seen him doing anything like that other than being some evil dark side user in the original trilogy. We don't really see him, doing anything governing wise other than just, setting up traps for the rebellion and all that
I
stuff.
mean, he
So
doesn't really
I'd
show
like to
up
see him
until
address the Senate.
yeah, he doesn't really show up until Return of the Jedi. There's a little scene in on Chris
Exactly. And by
Pratt.
the time we get to A New Hope, the Senate's already dissolved. So it's
Yeah,
completely um
we're going to
there's
see
no
that
opportunity to
too.
show.
We're going to
Oh,
see that too. Yeah,
yeah, I think
that
so
might be
too.
where
Yeah,
that
because
might be where that might be where we see him.
yeah, I would imagine. And with everything, these talks about um the Gorman massacre and like all the stuff leading up to like the last couple episodes, because right, each of
Yeah,
these 3 episode segments I believe is a year or so of time is what they're setting it up as.
right.
So I think those last 3 episodes of the whole bunch is going to be of a lot of setup work for stuff we see in Rogue One, but
Yeah.
also tying all of these events into where we start off the original trilogy. Um, so yeah, I mean, I would love to see him in this. And there's another shot too in the trailer. I'm not sure if you have it, but it's where Dedra Miro is like grasping at her collar because she's like choking, so to speak.
Right.
Um, I've seen a couple of theories on this one. One is as simple as a panic attack, and she's freaking out and is having a hard time breathing.
This isn't it.
Um,
Let's talk about our girl.
yeah, but I can't tell if that's her having a panic attack or if she's getting force choked by somebody who is,
I
force
think. Well,
sensitive.
no, this is, and I've got that one, but I want to build up to it.
Yeah, yeah, we will.
Yeah, that's right. This is her. I have a feeling she is giving the order for the Gorman massacre because she says something. This in this part of the trailer, the second trailer, or no, this is the special look. She says proceed. She's actually getting ready to say the word proceed right here. What you see on the
She's
screen.
got some vengeance in her eyes
And
too.
she's
She's
got
got some
some
hatred.
vengeance. Yeah, she is pissed off. So I don't know if she's giving the order to say that to go ahead and give the order for that or not. But this is what everybody's been talking about
Yeah, everything like
from the
that.
second trailer.
Yep. No, and I'm still debating it because if it is as if it is a panic attack, this is a very serious panic attack. Um,
That's a hell of a panic attack.
that'd be a heck of a panic attack. You're grabbing at your throat with both hands, being like, "Wow, I can't breathe." Like that must be something must have went really, really wrong for that to be a panic attack. And
Well,
it could be anything from the aftermath of what she ordered with the Gorman massacre. If it ended up being a tragedy, which we know it's going to be, um, if that starts putting pressure on her role, like why'd you make that decision? That was a terrible decision, or something like that.
would
I don't know.
you mind if I go ahead and planted my flag right here and now?
Oh, go right ahead. This is the
All right.
time.
Here's my thought. And I'll bring up the next one of her I want to bring up before I plant my flag here with you. And
Planet Deep.
I'm sorry to everyone out there that I think this happens after the choking thing. And I notice I said choking. She looks a little haggard there, doesn't she?
A little out of
Look
breath,
on her face.
a little yeah, taken
I
aside.
think, okay, here's what I think. And I am probably going to be 100% wrong about this, and that's fine. But here's the flag I planted. She gives the order. She's in charge of the operation, at Gorman. Turns into this massacre. Something goes badly wrong. Turns into this massacre. And that maybe leads to a major retaliation, by some faction of the Rebel Alliance. It's not really the Rebel Alliance at that point, but the rebellion.
Yeah.
The Emperor finds out about this, and I think he is force choking her in that last screenshot that we show. Let me see if I can go
See,
back. Let me see if I can go back to it here. I think I can
sure.
go back to it. Let's go back to that because she's doing this. She's trying to get her garment away from her throat. We see Admiral Mahdi do that in A New Hope when, he kind of challenges Vader a little bit. Your sad devotion to that ancient religion, et cetera, et cetera. That's that thing. He does the same
Yeah.
thing. He's trying to, oh my God, what's going on here? I gotta get this uniform off. I'm choking.
Mhm.
She's having the same reaction. I think she's being force choked there. Maybe it's Darth Vader that's doing it too. Maybe we're gonna see Vader.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, if
I don't
I
know.
hope you're not wrong, because I would love to see that. You know what I mean? But I don't want to get my hopes up too high because this is the kind of thing where I'd be like, oh, that wasn't what it was, and then I'd be disappointed. So I'm gonna I'm gonna tread lightly on this one. But if it had to be either of the two of them, I'd much prefer it to be the Emperor. This is
Well, me
his
too.
time to shine because despite Vader being, you know, a really effective handyman for the Emperor in this kind of a setting, inevitably, like I said, this show has a ton of political intrigue, and the Emperor showing up for himself
Oh
to
yeah.
show out some justice for something that was done or executed very poorly. Um, yeah, I would love to see it be him doing it, not Vader.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, Vader's had so much screen time in recent history with the shows. Um, even in Kenobi, I mean, he had a ton of screen time, and we got to see the Emperor at the end of that show, and that was great. But the more of him I can get, the better, because we haven't seen
Yep.
him too much.
No.
Um, and yeah, I mean, this would be a perfect place to have him
I
be.
think I think this
Um,
is her afterwards. She's doing some serious thinking here, and I've got another shot that I think
some life contemplation.
might be the same shot, but from the exterior. This might be the same thing, or maybe this is in her apartment. I don't know. That
I
looks
think
more
it's a little
like
different. I think she's
yeah, it
wearing
does look
different
a little
stuff.
different. She looks like she's wearing dark pants too, and she doesn't have.
Yes,
Yeah, but
yes.
that is her. She's
Different
all.
shot, maybe the same kind of contemplation though.
That's what I'm thinking.
She's she's got a lot of thinking to
Yeah, yeah.
do.
She's doing some thinking time. This whole thing
Yes.
goes, Gorman Massacre goes bad. Emperor potentially force chokes her. He's pissed and but doesn't kill her because she's too valuable. And now she's
hmm
thinking, oh, did I pick the right career path here?
Yeah. And
Seriously.
just to note where she is in this shot,
Yeah.
but if that's her apartment, she's got a pretty nice place in Coruscant, despite, everybody else. Because we look at Cyril Karn, right, in the first season, and him and his mother are living in this dingy looking apartment
Oh, I
where the sun
know.
only peeps out for like 5 seconds in a day. And Dedramiro's got an apartment where you could see the sun every day and
Yeah.
for as long as it's out, right? So it just tells you what being, an ISB agent means, um,
Oh,
from
they
the
give their
sake of
top
your
officers
living.
nice digs.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. So you can tell her value is almost entirely related to hey, look at where she is positioning wise in a building, in this big, city planet. Um,
Yep.
she's got quite the standing. So yeah, I mean, if she does get choked by Palpatine or whoever, um, it's going to be a warning, no more. But it's probably like, hey, this is your last X on the board before, we really do take you out for good,
Exactly.
right? So, I mean, especially if it's related to the Gorman Massacre, which like that's not just a pat on the back, like, oh, that mistake will never happen again. I think that's going to be a catastrophic event, um, like the last straw type of an event for
That's
her.
right.
So,
We got to talk about this.
yeah, my guy, my guy. I
K2SO.
love all the droids. It's Star
Yeah,
Wars. They have
droids
a
are
place
awesome.
in my heart. I can't lie. Every time I see a droid, especially one as personable as K2SO or B from first season, and we'll see him again too in season two.
Oh, B2 emo. Yeah.
He he makes me shed a tear sometimes in the first season, especially
Oh
when
yeah.
we get to the death of Marva. It was
His
like
name,
it.
Jacob, is literally emo.
I know, I know. He's such a cutie, and it's for a droid who's literally a box on wheels, basically for a design. Like
Yeah.
sheds quite a heavy impact on my soul. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I have a soft spot for the personable droids, and this is one. This is one of them. So
Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna get to see him. And kind of in relation to that, I got a couple other screenshots here that tie together if I can find them properly here. Did I even pull them up? Oh yeah, here we go. Here's a bunch of those KX series droids, and that's Cyril, right?
yep, it is Cyril.
So
Yep.
I feel like
Yeah, because
he's working his way back up somehow.
yeah, I mean, he at the end of season one, he saved Edremiro's life from getting trampled in Ferrix. So I think that action alone, because she was all flustered after that, to see that he was there to help save her and that his interest is still very vetted in the Empire to, catch the bad guys, so to speak, for lack of better terminology.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he does work his way back up, despite all of the issues he had with his first raid on Ferrix that did not go very well in episode three, first season.
Yeah. I'd be interested to find out if one of these is K2SO and how that
Yeah, because
how
I
that
mean, Cassian's already come into contact with one of those droids on can't remember the name of that planet,
I
but right
can't,
before
yeah,
he
the
went
resort planet, but yeah,
to Narkina 5, right? He was like the
he got
the
arrested.
sand trooper there was like or the Scarif trooper was like hold on to him for me. And the droid was very took it very literally
Very literally
held
grabbed him
on
by
to
the
him,
throat.
suspended in the air by the neck.
Yeah.
Not just yeah, not just like, hey, by the way, keep some eyes on this guy. He's like, oh no, I'm gonna take your order very literally and suspend him 3 feet up in the air and see what happens. But yeah,
Once
very,
again,
very
the
funny.
180 shot. I think we're going to see a lot of that in this second season.
Yes.
I
I'm
mean,
not
they're
sure
all
who the
looking at
people
him.
on the sides are,
I mean,
but
he's worked his way back. Cyril Karn has worked his way back up because not only are the droids all looking at him, the people, and I don't know who these people are supposed to be. They're all looking at him too, like, okay, your move, Sherlock.
yeah, I don't know who those people are. I'm kind of
I don't
curious.
either.
They don't. It's not like they're wearing any Imperial guards,
They're not in
so I don't really
uniform. They're
know.
civilians.
They just look like they're civilians who are a little,
Yeah, they're civilians.
terrified. Maybe they used to live in whatever place this is, and they got it confiscated for usage of a storage location for droids. I don't
Could
know,
be. Could be. I
but
don't know. Maybe they're being held there. I'm not sure. These two, yeah, because these two here look like
it's
they're
like the
kind of,
quartering act or whatever,
these two here look like they're
and they're scared.
scared. Yeah, yeah. I can't tell. Are
Yeah,
they?
they're not.
Yeah, I think, yeah, she's got her hand on her arm. So they're not in a good way emotionally.
Mm-mm.
That'll be
No.
interesting to see
Yeah,
what
if it
that
was my guess, those are just civilians that got their quarters taken over or something by Imperial use for, the
that's a good
KX-1
theory.
droids. So,
That's a good theory right there.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right, I'm just gonna go through the rest of them here and we'll just deal with the ones. I've gone through most of them actually. No, obviously we're gonna see Yavin
Let's say
4.
they had a lot of good shots in this trailer
They
to
really did.
delve
Well, in
into,
all of them.
but
But obviously, we're gonna see Yavin
exactly.
4 here. They've moved on. This is probably late in the game too, because when did they
Oh
when
yeah.
did they when did the Rebels character show up on Yavin 4? Was that in the very last season, season 4?
Oh man.
It was
I
late.
can't remember that.
It was late
That's
in that. I don't remember either, but it was late in that show's run, if I remember right.
yeah, because they
It
were having issues with like their bases getting found out by Thrawn, I thought was a lot of the issue. So they
was.
eventually
Well,
moved
Thrawn
them
showed
onto
up.
the I think that was
Can't remember the name of that planet.
that planet.
It was the planet where the Bendu talks to Kanan. Uh,
Yeah, I was just about to comment on that. Yeah, I love that guy.
yeah. I stole your take this time. See, we're even now. So, but anyway,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah. So we're gonna see Yavin 4.
But
Like I
yeah.
said, I'm
No,
just
I
gonna
I think
go.
you're right with this one being in the
Yeah.
last couple episodes though. I think that'll
This
be
is a
the
little slightly different
wrap up.
variation of a TIE fighter. You see
Yeah.
there's
Looks like a
raw.
TIE interceptor, but like it's got
Yeah,
some cool stuff on it.
yeah. It's not an interceptor unless it's a prototype interceptor, but the defender is what I'm trying to say. But the defender had three wings on
Yeah, you're
it.
talking about the one with the shields from Rebels, right?
Yeah,
Or am
yeah.
I
For that was
thinking a
also
different
in
one?
Rebels. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's a little
Yes.
bit different.
So who
That's
knows? I mean,
yeah.
Yeah, it could be another project that Krennic was looking into while he was there or something, or some other
Oh yeah,
higher
they're
Imperial
always
power.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
And
because I think
that
that project was actually Tarkin's, right? So
yeah, yeah, it was. It was. And that I didn't take a screenshot of it, but Cassian steals one of these. Maybe that one.
possibly, yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very clean facility.
It is a
Tells
very
me they're probably not doing that much work.
that's right.
So
That's right.
I don't know.
The only reason I
Nothing
took
stays white forever.
the only reason I took this one, this is in okay, this is on the special look clips that we got. And this Imperial officer
Yes.
here comes out and says, hey, you're not authorized in this area. And I think this is Bix. I think this is Bix Colleen.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Bix. I remember
And
seeing
I
that.
want to talk about her for a second because she's had her boyfriend killed by the Empire. She's been tortured. She's been through the ringer and she's had enough. This Imperial officer comes out and says, "Hey, you're not authorized here," and she just effing shoots him. I mean,
She
she's
doesn't
not
even
even going to
hesitate.
talk.
I mean,
She's done talking.
yeah.
Done talking. I'm just
Hmm.
shooting this fucking guy.
Yeah, and she was forced to talk. I mean, that doctor, no, another name.
I know.
The
I
name of the
know. There are so
doctor.
many names in this show.
Wouldn't be the first one this time. This show's
Gorst.
got so many people, but
I think his name is Gorst.
yes, that's that Dr. Gorse or
I
something.
think
Yeah,
that's
that sounds
or
right.
that's close.
But made her talk about all the things I'm sure she didn't want to talk about with regard to Cassian's location and a bunch
Yeah.
of other stuff. And Tim, her boyfriend in the first like 3 episodes or whatever, um, ratted on Cassian and then was like, okay, maybe I didn't want this to go as far as it went, especially when he saw that Bix
Right.
had a gash on her face from the Imperial officers that were there. And yeah, he got
I
shot for
think I
doing
think
it.
that's her. I think that's her.
Oh, I think so too. I
Yeah.
mean, she's very hesitant, I think, in the first season, not necessarily to get involved, but she doesn't have any like crazy avenues to because she's always like in captivity.
Right.
You know what I mean? So she's trying her best to resist, but she hasn't been able to make a like an individual mark yet.
That's right.
So I think coming up to season 2, where she's found freedom away from Dr. Gorst or away from, getting captured essentially, um, she'll have an avenue to make her mark. And if it is as simple as being short with Imperial officers that want her to halt and shooting them, like we see in the clip here or in
It's
the picture here.
yeah, yeah. And
It
he
is what
needs
it
to go
is.
on
But
he needs to go on the Fat Boy program too, by the way.
he's having an issue.
This show too, as much as anything else, I think is about how a group of separate individuals from different backgrounds who are leading just, regular everyday lives like her. She runs a junkyard.
Yeah,
How events can happen in their lives that cause them to turn and to become rebels.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, even what Cassian says, like, I mean, even in the first like couple episodes where he's like, they're so full of themselves. All the Imperials are fat and happy, and just
Yeah.
doing what they do, right? They're not understanding what the real consequences of anything that they really do
Yeah,
is. And
he says
I
you
mean, and the people, you can go ahead.
no, no, you finish up.
Even the guys that were on Aldani, talking about like, oh, there's not many people here left from this tribe, and they're like, imagine. I think one of the guy who's like on the position at the way top, he's like the air controller or something like that, and he's like, imagine a field with 1,000 of them, and it's just
Oh
just
yeah.
referring to the stench. Like they're so high and mighty about themselves, they don't care about other cultures, they don't care about anything other than
The
you
Empire.
know, laying a veil of purity over over the entire galaxy, and doing it in any way that they see fit. So no wonder characters like Bix or, and Saw as well are like, I'm sick of this. I'm gonna take a stand and
Exactly.
fix that problem. So
I got two more.
yeah. And just about everybody from Aldani during that heist ended up
Yeah.
dying anyway. It was
You
just two survivors out of that whole thing.
we don't know what planet this is. This isn't
No,
oh
it's not
shoot.
Ferrex.
No, it's not Ferrix, it's not oh my God, what's his name from Rebels? The kid. Isn't that awful? Drawing a blank here.
Kid. Ezra's
Yeah,
planet.
this isn't Ezra's
Can't
planet.
can't remember. No,
Yeah,
I
this
don't think
I
so
don't think this
either.
is
It
Ezra's.
looks reminiscent though.
It
But yeah, I
looks
mean, I'm surprised if this is everybody from Ferrix or if these are all Phyrexians, I guess that's how you'd probably say it. Um, if this is all of them, they got a lot of people out with all the chaos at the end of
Yeah.
season one because we only ever I think we only ever really saw one ship leave and it had Bix on it, it had Brasso on it, B, which you could see B in the somewhat near the bottom right. Yeah,
Right
right
there.
there.
Yeah.
Happy little guy,
Happy little
probably.
guy just running
Um,
around. Yeah.
but a lot of people got out, so you know, at least at the present, they're happy and settled. But we know from later clips in that trailer that it doesn't last. Um,
Yeah. The Star Destroyer shows up.
yes, and Cassian gets involved inevitably, as he should, as he should.
He's everywhere, man. Maybe there's two of him.
Yeah, yeah, hard to tell, right?
Last one I got here because it's kind of reminiscent of the prequels. I just think it's a beautiful shot. It's just some senators. There's Mon. We don't know who these other senators
Hmm.
are. I don't know who this guy is. Um,
Yes,
this is just a beautiful.
all having good discussions, I'm sure.
This looks like it was shot because I noticed they widened it out. Past the there's what they call the letterbox format that most films and higher quality TV shows are in. You know,
Hmm.
and this I noticed in the special look clip. Um, they had widened it out to fill the whole screen, which reminds me that it's like an IMAX style um, camera that maybe they're
Yeah,
with. I
fit
don't
for
know.
the theaters. They should bring it to the theaters.
Oh God, yeah, that would
Just
be
the
something.
whole thing.
This has got to be somewhere in the Senate.
You'd have to sit there all day.
This may be some walkway that leads to the Senate building. I mean, some of the
Yes,
uniforms
probably
here,
a pretty early shot.
yeah, some of the outfits here are
I'd say,
reminiscent
yeah,
of the
it's
prequels. I mean, the color and everything else.
yes,
Um,
yes.
so yeah,
Going right back to the stuff we love, all that prequels, political goody goodies, right? And when we were talking about this too, you brought up that deleted scene on Revenge of the Sith where Mon Mothma, Padme, Bail Organa, and a few other folks, I can't remember everybody's name there, but
I
we're
hope.
all talking about them bringing up some rebellious force right at the end, right? That's the
Well, of
political intrigue
course,
I love. So I'm
yeah,
glad that this
they
shows
want to
stuff like that.
force Palpatine to give up his emergency powers
Yeah, exactly, because they think it's well,
because it's
below what
gone
they're
at that
thinking
point.
in the
It's
first
gone way
place.
beyond what it was supposed to
Yes,
have
yes.
been
But I
doing.
mean, he promised too. He was like, "Oh yeah, I'll give the powers back when everything's all wrapped up." Because the only reason he got them was because of, they were in a warring time. But when all these big separatist leaders start perishing and the war starts wrapping to an end, he all of a sudden steps up his
Exactly.
control. It's like that is quite the opposite of what you said you were going to do, buddy. So I don't understand that one at all. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, so no wonder people like Mon Mothma, stick so heavy in the political game of, um, just taking charge and trying to solve those problems that
Yeah.
they inevitably see every day, leading to a catastrophic crash out from Mon Mothma because of the Gorman massacre, probably. So I'm so excited for all that new political stuff. It's gonna be a lot of stuff to break down, analyze, and all that goody
Absolutely.
goodies. So
Yeah.
yeah,
All
I'm really
right. That was
excited.
our last screenshot right there. So I think we probably want to give final thoughts. You go ahead.
Yeah, so what is it? You said a week and a half or so left until we get this, and
Nine
I
days.
I'm almost wrapped up with my time in Michigan, actually. So I'm going to be coming back to Maine. So if we have any shows in the future, they'll probably be in person, as a reference, I imagine. We'll see how we want to
We'll
do
see
it,
how it
but
works out.
um,
Yeah. But
exactly. But no, I'm really excited for this show. I think I can't remember. They're releasing the first couple episodes together, I thought, or am I wrong
no,
about that?
they're releasing 3 episode blocks every week. This
Every
show,
week.
yeah, this show is going to be done in 4 weeks because each 3 episode block is either a year in time or it's 3 days within a year, and then there's a jump, and then it's so when we start out.
Yeah.
When we start out with the first 3 episodes, we're going to be 4 years BBY before the Battle of Yavin. The next
Yes.
three
And
will
I
be
think they were
three.
talking, I think Tony
Yeah.
Gilroy or somebody was talking about how like every one of these three segments is like a mini movie in itself.
Yeah,
So it's
and we'll
and that's kind of what they did in the first season anyway. Every three segment was you know, a build up or a starting episode that gave you some like initial context, a build up episode in between, and then all the climax, all the finale work for that 3 episode segment was the last one, and then they would kind of restart that format.
Right.
And I mean, it tells such a compelling story because it means that not every episode is experiencing a crazy climax, but you have that time to build up an impeccable story and have it pay off very, very well at the last episode. And I mean, with the 3 episode segments that they're releasing in this time or this next season, I can only see the same format paying off. I think it's going to be a very, very exciting ride. And for it to only be done in or for it to be finished in 4 weeks feels criminal, but I'm going to love it when I have all 3 episodes together
Oh,
and not span over like a 12-week period or so. So I'm excited for it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
yeah, and it is going to be a really a movie we get each week because let's say each episode is average 45 minutes. That's
Yeah,
2 hours
which
and
is
50
probably
minutes.
about right.
That's 2 hours and 50 minutes of content we're going to get every week for 4 weeks. Awesome.
And who knows, maybe in end credits or something. I don't know. Who knows? We'll
Yeah, I
just
don't know. We'll see what happens there. We got one at season one, so but I feel like they're going to
yes.
wrap it up. I feel like they're going to wrap it up in the actual episode itself.
Yeah, they probably will, considering everything like what Tony said, you're ending and going right into Rogue One, presumably, in
He's
a
already
very
kind of
fitting
he's
fashion.
already kind of spoiled it. He's already said that the last scene is Cassian getting on the ship to go get Jyn Erso out of that prison.
Yeah. So a perfect tie-in, like without,
Yeah,
yeah,
or to go to, or maybe not that, but maybe to go to Catherine rather, the Ring of Catherine. I think
sure.
that happens first. I think. Yeah,
Mhm.
but
But either way, I mean,
either way,
I'm
wherever he's headed, yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
gonna
even
pump right
even
up
him
against Rogue
saying
One.
that doesn't really spoil it for me
Oh,
at
it
the end
doesn't
of the
mean either.
day. I mean, timeline wise, that kind of has to happen that way. But all of the blocks, like the building blocks that lead up to that moment, we only know some of the major events that are going to happen, but the details that go into those events or how everything, inevitably tumbles over like a big Jenga tower, we don't really know how all that's going to fit in. So I am along for the ride. I think it's going to be a blast, and I'm very glad I rewatched the last season of it because I think with all these new characters, and I mean we were struggling through the names this entire show, so
Oh
sometimes,
God, I'm getting
um,
careful with the names.
there's so many new
There's so
characters,
many.
but
There's so many.
I
But
yeah.
that speaks to how rich and how deep this show is, which is
Yes, the
great.
willingness to take a risk because
Yeah.
I think I mean I love seeing a cameo from a character where it makes sense, but at the same time, I don't also want to see shows that are all just a bunch of cameos because I think it waters it down a little bit. So being able to see new characters and essentially like fall in love with characters we've never seen before and giving them a voice in this vast galaxy, which we know is massive. There's characters to be explored, to be seen. I think it's a great way to utilize some new faces we've never seen and give them more. And I would not be shocked if we get a bunch of new faces in this next season too that fit in to the big, the grand puzzle,
Yeah. Sure.
and
Yeah.
how they inevitably end up impacting the characters we already know from season one.
Yeah. We
So
will. We
yeah,
will. So yeah. Yeah. I think my final thought is I'm looking at the background here behind me, and I'm thinking about Rogue One, and I'm thinking, okay, who's around when Rogue One starts? Okay. Um, Krennic is with us when Rogue One starts. Cassian, Mon Mothma, Saw, K2SO. I can't get my finger to go right. And Elshi. The rest of these
that's it.
people might as well be in a shooting gallery. We don't know what's going to happen with them.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Deidre, we don't know what's going
for
to happen
for
with her.
shows
Cyril?
Yeah, we don't know. For shows like kind of going back to Kenobi, like we knew what was going to kind of happen because all the major characters for that,
Right.
we knew where they ended up. Like we knew, oh yeah, Kenobi survives. So does Vader. Duh. There would not be an original trilogy if those characters,
Yeah.
perished in some way with
Right.
with the happenings of this show. So you know, there's some locked aspects to it that we know have to be set in stone, right? But like what you were saying, with all the characters we don't know anything about when it comes to like how they end up, um, there's a lot of playground space for how their stories finish, or if their stories are left untold in a vague
Yeah.
way, they might, end up showing up somewhere else or something like that. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
I think you're
lots
going
of
to
wiggle
leave.
room.
I think you're gonna have to leave some of these people alive, maybe for a possible spin-off or an appearance
Yeah.
in another series coming
But
up.
like Luthen in particular for me, if he's such a heavy rebellion, or player into the rebellion, we never ever ever see him again after this show, at least from the content we already have.
I think
So
Lucian's
it's like
at the end of this.
I think he is too. Either that, because like what he was talking about in season one with that sacrifice speech, he sacrifices everything. And like he said, he's doing it all to potentially not see a sunrise on all the work he's paid off or all the work he's spent trying to build up. Wouldn't it be poetic for him to do all this work to inevitably end up perishing and not seeing the end of it? Because I don't think he's gonna. I think
Notice
that
another
that was the whole point of that speech.
I notice another phrase that he uses a lot. He used it a couple times in that season one monologue where he's talking to Lonnie Jung there,
Mhm.
and he
Yeah,
uses it. And it's in a clip from the upcoming season too. He likes to say, "I burn" a lot. I wonder if he's going to have a particularly violent demise.
maybe
You
it's very
know,
possible,
I
like a
burn for this and
phoenix.
I burn for that, that sort of thing. So,
Yeah. Who
yeah.
knows? It might come right back up. But yeah, no, with everything he said and as volatile of a character as he is, for us to not see him ever again in any like for the content we currently have, any like rebellion, that would be so weird for him to just fall off the face of the map. And it would be really weird for him to just abandon it all because he's quite clearly a heavy player in what he wants, which is to
Oh
make
yeah,
the
he's
Empire
not
pay.
gonna. No, he's not gonna
He
abandon.
would not he would not leave the cause for anything. I mean, nothing as catastrophic as his demise would make him leave.
He's gonna go
So
down
I think
for the cause.
yeah, 100%. I think the only question is when and where and how.
That's
Like,
right.
what event is gonna cause that to happen? And I almost wonder if it's something from Cassian. We've seen it with Skeen in the Aldani, the whole thing there. But when he was one of the only survivors that came out of that whole raid basically alive, and he's like, I want to take the money from Aldani. Let's split it and leave. And Cassian shoots him just outright as a way of like, oh well, you're not lining well with the goals um, that we're all trying to fight for here. I wonder if Luthen does or says something that's really off putting to Cassian or somebody else, and it causes kind of a backstab. I'm not sure if that's plausible because Luthen's got such a big picture game, but it's a possibility. I mean, he's kind of like Saw, where he's extremely radical in some of the things that he does. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with
Well,
him.
that's what makes it
But
fun, right? We don't know what's gonna happen.
but yeah, lots of doors to open for that one. We'll only really be sure when it happens.
That's
So
right. That's
so
right.
yeah,
So, all right. I think it's time to wrap it up. What do you think? We've gone. Gee, I think
I
this is
think so too.
I think this is our longest show. Our last show was our longest show. Now I think I'm looking at the time.
Yes.
I think we've.
The more
I think we did our last show by a couple of minutes. So
I think so too. I think the more supplementary material we have, the longer this lasts because there's more
we're
things that
gonna
we remember.
5 years.
Because I
We're
mean,
gonna
we
be 3 hour shows.
exactly we talk on the phone or text frequently enough to break down some of this stuff episode
Right.
wise or whatever. Um, And I mean, geez, I'm sure we have so many good points in those phone calls that we just forget to bring up in a podcast like
Oh,
this.
I know
But
I have. Yeah,
being able to have,
you can.
pictures or any supplementary material, it makes the mind click a little better. So we probably said more stuff in this podcast that was or in this episode of the podcast that was,
I'll tell you what my goal is this
more
time.
reflective.
I'll tell you what my goal is this time though for the second season. I want to watch them first, just to get all the nuances of it. And then I want to before the next three episodes come out, before the next week hits, I want to watch them a second time and I want to take notes because if we can do our an Andor wrap-up show, after it's done here, then I want to have some things written down and ready to talk about.
Yes,
I gotta
especially for
set
this
that as
show.
a personal goal to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, this show is so complicated. I mean, even just from the first season, such a complicated show with all the nuances that, pop into your head. I'm sure even on my rewatch, I looked at a scene a little differently the
Yeah.
second time, right? Did I remember to say that during this show? Absolutely not. I probably forgot it, right? But it's something I'll see again when I will go and watch watch it for a third or fourth time, or
Oh,
however
sure.
many times I choose to watch it again, right?
That's right.
But yeah, it's the way of the world. But who knows? Maybe a notepad will suffice. We'll see.
Say that again.
But maybe a notepad will suffice
Oh, there you go. There you
all
go.
the note taking or something. But we'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah, exactly. All right, man. So why don't we wrap it up here? We'll say so long to everyone, and thanks for everyone for watching. Please give us a like and a subscribe, and tell your friends, hey, you want to see a not so fancy Star Wars show with just a couple of blokes sitting around talking about
Yes,
what's coming next? No
as
frills.
we always say, it's raw, unedited. We don't do any post production anything. This is just us talking like we normally do. And I mean, obviously, we've become more technologically advanced with the backgrounds and some stuff
Oh,
like that. So we're on the
and
way
the
up. But
and the and the
um,
and the screen sharing and
yes,
the
so
screenshots. So we're getting there. We're getting there.
yes, and we greatly appreciate everybody's support and
Yes.
leaving us a
Everyone who
like, viewing
watches.
us in any way that you can, sharing
Yeah.
us. I think that only helps us to grow, and we're very interested. We're not going away. I
Oh
think
no.
this is something we like to do and stay consistent with. So any support we can get from all you wonderful viewers is it's huge and it means the world. So
Well said, Jacob. Well said. And we don't do a regular schedule, mostly because it's your schedule, your personal schedule, and work schedule.
it's my
So
bad. No,
nuts. And you only got one more year of college left, then you're going to be going off into the real
yes,
world. So
into the workforce. Yeah, right away.
who knows what's going to happen there? But we'll still do some shows. So anyway,
Oh,
all right.
absolutely.
We're going to wrap it up. Thanks again, everyone. And we will probably have another one after Andor's done. We're going to see Revenge of the Sith too if it comes to our area here.
Yes, I'm
I gotta believe.
fingers crossed. That's what's going to happen. I hope
I gotta believe it's gonna. We got the Phantom Menace last year. We're gonna get
we
Revenge.
did.
So we're gonna get down there and probably meet somewhere and watch that. So anyway,
That's my favorite movie out of all of them. So
that is
yeah,
your favorite.
that would
I love it
be
too.
that'd
That's
be the
right up
time.
there. That's up there on my
Oh
list. I
yeah.
really rank them. I like all of them. I was telling somebody the other day, it wasn't you, I was talking to someone else who actually isn't a Star
Mhm.
Wars fan. I said, I said, I even like the sequel trilogy. I mean, even with its warts, I love them. So
Oh yeah.
what are you going to do? So there you go.
Part of the
All
big
right.
Star Wars family at this point. So
That's
yeah.
right. That's
But
right.
let's rope it
Okay.
all in.
Wrap it up. All right, Jacob, you have a great day. And everyone else out there, have a great day. And we will be back probably about another month or so. Take care,
Sounds
everyone.
good.
May
Thank
the
you,
force be
everybody.
with you.